out relatively big. I can actually.
No, I can do this. All right, so we're gonna call to order the January 9th.
Wishful thinking.
Right? 2024 Parks and Recs Commission meeting.
There's a weird feedback at that.
6:35.
6:35. And on you, eventually. Looking to. That's not what I wanted to do.
We have folks online.
Kate should be online.
Okay.
Yep, I'm online.
All right, there we go. Is that a little bit better?
I'm good. I'm gonna just look like a fool.
That's good from here.
All right, so first is the commissioner updates. I will happily say that finally the Alicia's the directors
Yeah.
evaluation, although very late, is done and in, right? There's no, right, we got that in and everything's good there.
All done.
Just in time for the 6-month review, I think, of from last time,
Yeah.
but it is in, so Saul and I will be we'll be very good. Is that what we said? We were gonna do like a 6-month or?
We're gonna check back in, I can't remember if it was March or
I think it was
April.
March, right?
March, and get things done well ahead of time. So just in case for whatever reason, there's switch over in the boards. All right, who's up? I can't remember. You're up. Okay. So you staying, you going?
I think I'm saying.
I would love you to stay. That would be fantastic. And you also.
I'm good. Yeah, I'm staying. Just
Yes.
wanna-
Yay!
If I get people on the
Yeah. So then hopefully it would be kind of a moot point because we'd have all the same people, but in the future, if for some reason there was like a changeover, then it would make sense for the old guard to do the evaluation versus, having new folks that, haven't had the 3 years with me. So, yeah. Okay.
Sounds good. All right, Saul, any updates?
No, the open space scheduled meet end of the month. We're still trying to wrap that up.
All right, cool. Peter, any updates?
No updates here.
All right, Scott,
No updates at the moment.
Kate, in the virtual world?
So I did try to set up a meeting with Kaz, Alicia, and Jen Gold from the school committee to talk about space for Camp T. But Kaz said he wanted to wait since he was focused in on getting the preschool Camp T up and running. So Alicia will just need to know when we want to address that. If he meant he's good for this year or like what exactly he meant by that.
I think, we could definitely, we'll sit down, we can have a conversation, but I think we've sort of been told what we can do. And so I don't think there's any room for negotiation for this year. I think which was sort of the reason, partial of that reason to decide to kind of hold off on having that conversation. But I still think that it would be important for Jen to kind of know those things and especially knowing the programs are growing and kind of having a backup plan or an idea of what we should do in the case if, if we continue to be sold out. Are there additional options of ways that we can grow? Because it's nice to be sold out of something. However, then that means you're not really meeting that goal because there's still more people that need assistance, So just to be able to try to figure out what that balance is. So I think, it would be good to be able to sit down and have that conversation with her. So I'll check in with Kaz. I know him and Tim are going to a conference tomorrow. So if we were going to do anything, it probably would be like next week.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I think, even if we're talking about summer of 25.
Yeah.
So that we don't run into this, well, you know,
Right.
it's spring and we can't do anything now. I think we gotta start that conversation for 25.
Exactly, yeah. Let me put this on mute just because I want this key thread, so I will be getting 1,000 texts.
Yes.
Sorry about that.
All right, any other updates? All right, acceptance of the minutes.
Ooh, Sorry, you're like ahead of me.
Listen, we're rolling. Yeah, come on.
Like, yeah, we gotta get out.
Here you go, shovel.
No,
So we have November and December minutes, is that correct?
yes, that's correct.
All right, are there any issues with the minutes? All right. Can we do both in the same motion?
Sure you can.
All right, we get a motion to accept the minutes?
Move to accept the November 14th and December 5th, 2023 minutes.
Well, second.
All right, all in favor? Oh, no, we have to do a roll
Yep.
call because,
Yeah.
thanks, Kate. So, all right, Saul.
Yes.
Peter.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Kate. You there, Kate?
Yes, I had
Oh, okay,
to.
sorry. And Kevin is a yes.
Okay, so the individual, I don't see anybody online. And we do not have anybody in the crowd. So I guess I will just bring this up. We can have a conversation. I had an individual call about concerns about people being in the 300 King Street over in the evening hours when the park is supposed to be closed. They felt they lived in the area and wanted to request the ability to sort of police putting a chain up in the evenings. So as that was a public request, I wanted to put this on the agenda for all of you to discuss. Just some additional information. I did have a conversation with Deputy Chief Patterson. He did run a report over the last 2 years of all of the calls that have taken place at 300 King. So you can see the majority of those are highlighted in yellow, which were building checks, which we asked them to go through and just check and make sure everything's good. So that's just the normal like run through and they note it and it goes into their log system. So as far as looking at this information, there's been 0 arrests. There's been 1 accident. There's been, it looks like 7 incidents, but a lot of those things have been like noise complaints or suspicious activity, which is probably kids, you know, hanging out on the playground in the evening. The accident actually just happened. We'll talk about that later. 3 they have as unfounded. So, over the past 2 years, we've had very little happening there. So, yeah, I'll leave it to y'all to have a discussion and share your thoughts.
You know, based on this, I don't see the need for a chain. And I worry about the liability of a chain across there. If a
And
kid
having
rides a
someone-
bike into
Having
it.
someone else manage it as
Yeah.
opposed to the town. I think it's.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Good.
I would say it's mostly foot traffic. I don't see a chain keeping anybody from walking in 55 other different ways.
Yeah.
Into the park, so.
I would also,
Go ahead, Kate, sorry.
I would also chime in and say my major concern about the chain and having somebody else manage it is what time is open, what time is closed, what happens if they're gone, bad weather. You know, there's so many things that you then bring into this as a concern and consideration for this.
Right.
And to everyone's point, I think if somebody's going to go there, they would just park elsewhere then and walk in.
One of the other things that Deputy Chief had mentioned was that it also causes a barrier to an emergency response if something were to happen. To not be able to have fire or police be able to get in because something's chained up. So, you know, and the majority of stuff that we're looking at have been incidents and accidents. So
Yeah.
I would say that's a bigger concern of mine than, you know, if folks are doing, I don't know, the farthest things on a playground. And to that, I would say that, you know, if there is ever anything suspicious at any of the parks, you can always call the police line here, which is a non-emergency line. It's 978-540-2300. Or obviously in case of some emergency, I would call 911 directly. So that would be my suggestions.
Yeah, and the numbers just don't bear out the need to change that they're talking about. So, we don't have to vote on this, do we?
You don't, unless you wanna take some sort of stance saying that, you know, no, we're definitely not gonna do that, but.
I mean, I
You
think,
have to.
yeah, I think if somebody comes and wants to sort of, you know, make the case for it, then I think we should take a vote, but otherwise, I don't think we need to vote on it.
It's fine.
All right, any more discussion?
Is there are there lights? Lights in the parking lot?
Oh, there are.
Oh,
Well,
that's right.
one left,
One left.
One left,
one left.
but not further into the park.
No,
I don't think so, I think it's
No.
just the park.
Yeah.
yeah, just a parking. lot.
All right. So, let's see, request from town of Littleton to install a dual EV charger at 300 King Street.
Yes. So our town is a green communities, which is really great. We've received a lot of grants, that have helped, they helped us, purchase the, lighting that we have for the department now, which is great. So one of the opportunities, that we've been given with this EVIP grant is, being able to put in these dual chargers. So at Parks and Rec and at the library, there's one outside of our office across the street from Badger Funeral Home. That's usually where we charge the lightning. And then there's also one behind the town hall next to the library. So there's already a couple of these chargers that exist around town. I think LEWD has one, but there's just like a super fast charging one. So ours would not be that. It's a little bit on the slower side. So essentially, this grant will cover the cost of the charger itself and the installation. So it would be at no cost to the town or to Parks and Recreation. We had LEWD go out and look at the electrical panel, and it has 100 amps. This charger only needs 80 amps, and that's at like full capacity if there were 2 cars charging at the same time. So that leaves us plenty of extra amperage to be able to use for the one light, will be 2 lights sometime in the future. And all maintenance and operation of this charger will go through LEWD, so there's no additional workload for our department to have to take care of or run something. So yeah, all of that. So the only caveat to it is part of the grant, people would need to be able to be have access to it for at a minimum of 12 hours. I had the conversation that obviously we're open from dusk till dawn, dawn till dusk, not the other way. Sorry, I always do it backwards. You know, obviously people wouldn't have 24-hour access to it. So that was just the one caveat, is that, you know, if we were going to accept this, we would have to make some sort of motion that it would be accessible for 12 hours, and they suggested something like 6 AM to 6 PM, which is fine. Yeah,
Like, is there the capacity to like shut it off at 6 PM? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, say, let's say we vote 6 AM to 6 PM. Can it be set so that it shuts off at 6 PM? So even if you come up there at midnight and plug it in, it's not gonna work?
that's a very great question. I do not know the answer
I
to
was
that.
thinking of people like who live in the neighborhood, go, hey, park it over there and,
Yeah,
and then
I'm
I'll.
like, however, there is a policy that there is no overnight parking, and it is posted in the parking lot there.
and that's fine. Like, I just think it's like, what's an attractive nuisance, you know, like, you gotta.
It is not quite that,
Trying to,
yes.
You know, recharge my electric car.
Yeah.
So I think that's an issue, but not an issue, but I think we gotta figure out that. And then the other thing I thought of is like, oh, do they get charged for it, right? Is
So
it
they
free?
have-
They have to pay for it, right?
Correct,
The
so,
charging.
yeah, so the charger itself is, it has an app associated with it called ChargePoint. So you have to be logged in and have like credit card information, et cetera.
Although many of the charge points are not, especially the low power ones, do not charge.
Sorry, what do you mean?
Many, like Acton Toyota has a charge point.
Oh,
charging
and they
station.
don't
It
charge
does
you a
not
rate.
Yeah, there's no charge.
Interesting. Well, this does, because we get charged to charge the lightning. That's just a lot of charges in one sentence, so my apologies. So yes, there is an app, the people using it would be charged a fee to, use.
Based on what I've seen of that, app, you should be able to turn it on and off. So that would be an option.
Yeah, it's an app-based thing.
It's all smart.
Absolutely, yeah.
Smart. Can we make any money off of it?
No,
2%
I
surcharge?
did ask that question.
Sorry.
So no, because LELWD is going to be, they're the ones that maintain all of the ones and operate the ones in town, so.
And I think with grants, I don't think you can,
Not, no.
yeah, it's.
So then the other question is around the parking. Are these electric car only, like, is it only while you're charging? Is there a limit on how long you can be parked there? That parking lot is not exactly.
I know. Space friendly, yeah.
And I foresee that day when that's like 100, well, it's a beautiful day in the spring and everyone's bringing all their kids there and they're parking
People
on the
will
grass.
park in there.
And I say, yeah, right, okay, I'm going in there.
They can't do that anymore with the fence up.
Can't park in the garage.
No, I mean, I'm talking about
I
like
know.
part of the EV spot, yeah.
Yes,
And then, you know, and it's like, is it worth the, no, let me rephrase that. I think it's worth the aggravation, but I think, like, do we wanna take on the towing people because you parked in the EV
Or just,
spot?
coming out full horn and going.
Yeah,
right.
hey, move your
So
car.
you gotta move.
but that's gonna, again, that's a fair point, and I will ask more about that. But it seems like the operation of it would be through LEL.
No, I get that, but like, when it's Sunday morning
No.
and somebody parks there because it's basketball and it's a beautiful day.
Yep.
You know, who's gonna be the person that says, hey.
Yep.
To the police, can you call and get this person towed
Right.
because they're parked at the EV spot? Like, do we wanna take that on? I guess is my question.
No, we do not want to take that on, but I don't think that we necessarily would have to. I have a feeling that if somebody was there and wanted to use it, that they probably would call the police. And figure it out. The opposite side of things, ooh, there's feedback on that, Dave. What would I say? The feedback totally just messed with my head, so sorry. If people are parked there, and let's say the vehicle is fully charged, you do have to move it, otherwise you will get charged an extra fee for like parking. So if it says vehicle is like fully charged 100%, theoretically, you're supposed to take it out and move it. It's not really a parking
But
spot.
that, I mean, that
So to speak.
applies if somebody parks an electric vehicle there and charges it, not if somebody just parks there.
Right,
Or just unplugs it, right?
right.
If you just unplug it and leave your car there, they don't have any way to charge.
That's also a very fair point.
I'm not against this, I think that we gotta figure out some of these, like,
I was just thinking two things. One is, and this may be just minor, but from December to January, you have darkness, like at 5
Right.
and don't have light till 7, so you don't have that 12-hour access.
We do have, lights in the parking lot.
Lights in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Would that counter our dusk to dawn? Yeah.
And that, yeah, there's times where it
Yeah.
would be weird.
And then the other thought, I mean, because of the fact that it's a closed place or supposed to be a closed place,
Mhm.
what about at the fire station in Fay Park on that side?
It is not conducive because it is very difficult to get electricity to the, like, this is a very easy. The electrical panel is like right next to where they would put, the dual charger. So, that is a great location. However, it's not easily accessible to install it. So they're kind of looking for the ease of it. I think the original grant had the charger here at the police station. But the police, I think, did not want to do that, so, they kind of passed on it. And get an opportunity.
one of the questions,
Okay, yeah,
maybe, and this will show you my vast knowledge of how electricity works. So if it's 100 amps,
yeah.
and if there's 2 people there,
Mhm.
and it's drawing 80 amps,
Mhm.
and there's a special event going on where we're using electricity, will
Use
that,
the truck.
you draw the electricity out the truck?
Mhm.
Okay,
That thing has been
Yeah.
like the best battery generator for special events. It's amazing. Yeah.
I don't.
I guess you could add signs too, right? I mean, anybody here, at least a warning, right? Anybody's here as long as it's time, or once your car is charged, please move it, or
Right.
possibility of being towed.
Possibly towed, yeah.
Just, I mean, I think like anything else, it's a good move, but there's always somebody somewhere at some point will take advantage of it, but is it someone who takes advantage of it once in the summer, you deal with it? Or does it become something where you're fighting it every weekend, right? I guess
Exactly.
that's data to be found, I guess, right? But yeah, there's always somebody looking to take advantage of something.
Yeah, I think like all the sort of scenarios are like the one-off.
Correct.
You know,
Correct.
but it's just like you gotta kind of work those through.
Oh, absolutely, sure. No, it's, like I
So-
said, always somebody looking for an advantage.
But I think I think you bring up a good point about it. If we say it's
Contradicting.
dusk
It-
to dawn.
yeah.
Or dawn to dusk, open, closed from dusk to dawn. And it's an odd thing to then say the charger
Yeah.
is available from 6 to 6.
Yeah, so that would have to be some sort of policy change.
Or is there like a waiver, to, I mean, say, most of the time, 11 months out of the year, we can have 12 hours, but in December and January,
We do
sorry.
not, yeah, right? Yeah. Okay,
Well, so. Probably should know this too. If we just say dusk to dawn, no matter when it happens, is it always gonna be 12 hours? No, right?
No.
I teach the basis of this.
No.
I mean, the phases of the moon and all this stuff, so.
Are we
I should
moving
know
on,
all
moving
this
on?
stuff. Yeah, okay. All right. Any other discussion? Where we at on this? So,
So they're asking for approval. I know that Diane Dickerson has been working really hard on this, so this was something that she's been trying to move relatively quickly on. However, I'm thinking at this point, with the weather the way that it is, like, I don't think we'd be able to install anything relatively soon.
That's all gonna wash away tomorrow anyway.
yeah,
I mean, that's fair. So You know, at this point, I feel like you guys have some really good questions. We can table it and I can get answers and we come back and make a decision. Yeah, I think that's not what Diane wants, but it doesn't, you know, you guys have genuine questions, so.
Right, I think generally not a terrible idea, but there are some logistical issues.
Yeah,
And I don't think any of us are against it. I think it's just a matter of finding out all these little, like, as I
Yeah.
said, like logistical things that. And we may have to then sort of amend the hours of the park or
right,
depending on. You know. Things, so it's,
Yeah.
you know, it will take a couple. More, or at least another discussion after we get some more.
yeah. Okay, yeah, I will ask these questions. So just to clarify, so can you shut it off after the 6 p.m. to 6 a.m.? How do we police non-electric vehicles parking in those spots? How do we get around the dawn to dusk issue in these shorter months? Any other questions that I missed?
And I think that one may be a discussion, like the last one may be a discussion for us to figure out, you know, the dawn to dusk.
Is there any wiggle room on that?
Yeah,
12 hours. Or if it's, 12
Yeah.
hours, 80% of the year or what.
yeah, we'll give you 14 during the summer.
We'll train.
Make
you.
up.
Yeah, we'll train, we'll
Make
make up for it.
On average, it's 12 hours.
That's good there. All right, any other discussion on dual port EV charger requests? So,
All right, staff update. So staffing update. So Pete, Tim and I met, we looked at some of the program coordinator, applicants. We have, interviews later on this week that we're gonna run. Office coordinator, I need to set up those interviews for the following week. We're just getting into a little bit of a time crunch with the 2 ski days. Because it's kind of all hands on deck with both ski programs. And then, yeah, so, we're working on scheduling the office coordinator interviews that following week. So I'm thinking that, I hope before the next meeting that we'll actually have candidates to bring forth. If that happens, I would just suggest that, you know, we do a quick, maybe special meeting so we can get that person, hired and onboarded relatively quickly. Like nothing else on it, just those things. And if for some reason it stretches out, and it's a little bit longer. I did actually get more applicants today from HR. I didn't realize that they had opened it on Indeed, so I was like, surprise, here are these other people. So we'll review those and take a look at them, and be able to complete that process. So, yeah, let's move along, something pretty good. Questions, comments?
how many, excuse my general, like 20 applicants or?
I mean, there's a lot of people that have applied. So just on the Indeed stuff that HR did, I think there were 49 candidates for the office coordinator and 40 for the program coordinator. But once you start looking at,
Leave them out.
yeah,
Yeah.
I would say that, I haven't had a chance to fully go through all the other folks that, applied, for program coordinator, but, you know, we have 6 really good candidates, before that, so maybe we'll have a couple more in there. And yeah, so we'll see. Fingers crossed. Okay.
Questions?
We're tabling it. Tim is, yeah, Tim's not here, because he is dealing with everything going on and the crazy traffic happening with the kids picking up at the show right now. So, we decided to table that for the February.
Love it.
Can
Yes,
you or he send out that information well in advance?
sure.
the meeting, please.
every day between now and next day.
Every day?
These email blasts, so when somebody will inevitably say that they didn't know about it.
So,
No, sorry, I meant send the.
Oh, to us?
The rate information to
Yes.
us, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that would be nice as well.
we are, we did get a, invitation from the Long Lake Neighborhood Association, so we will go to that meeting and, you know, we can talk about those things then. So maybe there's a benefit of being able to, table it for tonight, because we should be able to have that meeting with them before the
Right, is that was
February
February,
meeting.
that meeting?
I think it was in the end of January or beginning of February, so, yeah.
I'm gonna try to go there, like, I'll coordinate.
Okay, yeah, that'd be awesome.
If anybody else wants to attend to. A good show of support and collaboration and communication.
I think it would be helpful to know when that is, and also to keep in mind that it was quite clear when I met with the resident in that area of Long Lake that
Yep.
that association does not represent everyone. So
Right.
we'd want to make sure others in the neighborhood are aware that it's happening as well to increase the attendance numbers.
Okay, absolutely.
How did, when we had the meeting with Ryan at the lake with the police chief and
Mhm.
other folks, didn't we send out a mail-in or something?
I did. I mailed. I can't remember how many letters. But I used our GIS in town to actually do like a radius around. And invited.
Yeah, I mean, we should probably plan on, and up for discussion, you know, like, a notice that gets sent to that same sort of radius of folks saying, we are discussing it at this meeting on this day, you know what I'm saying, that we're gonna discuss.
Yeah.
Because is our plan to set the rates in February, right? Isn't that what we need to do?
Yes, so the only thing I caution on is I'm totally fine if we wanted to do the letter at the beginning of the season, which is something we said that we would do in the future. But it costs between $300 and $400 to send letters out to everybody. So I don't wanna like do that every time we have a meeting or every, you know, it's not a most effective way.
Yeah, I don't know the rates, I think it's that.
Well, didn't we get a lot of pushback with folks, because I think we said that we were going to maybe possibly raise them, we didn't raise them last year.
Yeah.
correct? That we were probably gonna raise them this year, I thought we had sort of talked about maybe doing a sort of incremental, okay, it's gonna be 2% every year for the next 3 years kind of thing.
Yeah,
So I think if that's what we're gonna discuss, I think it may, to our benefit, to just say, you were aware that, or we notified folks that the discussion was gonna happen at the February meeting, because if we are gonna do that, where it's gonna be a 3-year sort of like incremental
right.
rate increase, I think people, look, if we don't invite people, they hear about it in other ways, we're gonna get a lot more flack, I think.
Yeah.
But I'm just throwing that out.
I will also say that, folks that there also is a group of individuals that have made the decision that they don't want to buy a pass and they just go after lifeguards. And that's pretty
Oh, yeah.
common,
Yeah.
yeah,
Sure.
Yeah.
I just wanna make sure we sort of like cover ourselves as much as we can.
If it was just a meeting to say that we're just gonna keep things the way they were, then I don't think it's worth the $300 or $400 expense. But if you are gonna stop the increases or talk about increases now for the next 3 years, I think it's a worthwhile investment to make sure everybody is, you know, well involved, because
I don't know if it would be more cost effective, like just a postcard.
Yeah, I think anything that we can get out there.
I say, you know, print the postcard.
You gotta print the
Yeah,
postcard,
you gotta
yeah,
pay the bulk
yeah.
rate and everything. I mean, I just think anything we can do to sort of make sure that we can say,
Yeah.
we mailed out stuff, we put it on Facebook, we posted it down the beach, we told the folks at the beach association meeting that when we're discussing it, it's gonna be here. So that way, and there will be somebody who will say, well, you didn't, send it by carrier pigeon. Okay, yeah, but what are we gonna do?
Yeah.
Like, there's only so much we can do, but I think we've got to make sure we cover as much of the bases as we can.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree.
Gotcha.
What's the ruling on like email blasts? Do they have like a listserv?
Unless they are folks that, like, if for anyone that had a membership in the past, we could definitely do that, right? Because you have to log into MyRec to get that membership pass. But for individuals that have never done any programming with us or, have not had a membership, then we wouldn't have.
I was just
access to
thinking
it.
to look at association themselves.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, and that's, as Kate was mentioning, the hard part is, there are people that are involved in it, but outside of that organization. No, there's like not really reflective of how to get in touch with people, really like sending letters to their houses is the only thing that we've been kind of successful with. Yeah.
Yeah, you certainly can't do emails to people who haven't subscribed because they'll mark you as spam. And then if we get blocked by like Yahoo, Gmail, whatever, that's a real pain that you'd have to have somebody undo that. So don't send emails to people not registered.
I guess the other would be just to make sure that it's, I don't know if there's whenever the agenda goes out, there is if you signed up for the town emails, they come notice that way.
Yeah,
Although I don't know that ours does.
It does.
Yeah.
So if you go on the website and you sign up for, like update information, you can click who you want to hear from. So, if you do hear or click from Parks and Rec or the Park Commission, then yeah, you get updates.
So maybe just
encouraging.
put in a draft agenda sooner rather than later.
Yes,
With beach fees
Yep.
for the February meeting, so that everybody sees that. We can update it with whatever else we're gonna have to do later. But
Yeah,
just to have
because we can amend it. Yeah, for sure. Okay.
a notice go out,
Yeah.
at least to the people who have signed up to.
And it hasn't been as contentious in the past couple of years as
Then,
many
Yeah.
years
Means
ago.
we're
But-
due for another round.
Exactly, it's only a matter of time before it's comes back. And I think if we are gonna do those incremental.
Right.
Fee hikes, not hikes, fee increases over, a few years, I think.
Yeah.
We want to just as upfront as possible.
I mean, typically, I hope we don't continue to have summers like we did last summer, because it rained so much. We really, we did not do great at the beach, to be quite honest. But at the same time, when we have lifeguards on shift, if they've been scheduled, we do at least have to pay them for 4 hours. So there is, it's one of those like, but they didn't work that, as much, but we still had to pay them something. So yeah, that's,
It's the cost of having a town beach.
yeah.
All right, so that's tabled to February.
All right, this is our infamous light pole. I figured I'd put that up there. Yeah, it's pretty good. So I just kind of, great question. I'm not sure whether they reversed into it or they drove forward. I kind of hope they reversed into it because that would be a little bit more understandable. But yeah, somebody hits the light pole at 300 King, knocking it out of the ground, ripping the concrete out. So I wanted to put this up here for all of the many people that watch our meetings here, just as a reminder, kids are consistently in that parking lot. Like, please be slow, be careful, look, double check, like, if something like that can happen, I mean, it brings terrible thoughts to my mind of, I don't think anyone should have been driving at a speed that should knock down a light pole like that. And but I don't know, I wasn't there for the incident. I truly don't know the ins and outs of what exactly happened, but, yeah, just a cautionary tale that,
Was it overnight, like?
no,
Turn, like,
during the day, yeah.
I'll admit, it was me, I leaned up against it.
yeah, Hercules.
Hercules.
So,
Right, though, the rate of speed that had to have.
yeah,
Might not take as much as.
maybe not, I don't
No.
know, but. So, I had been told it had been removed, but I drove by today and it's still there. They moved it from that location to another place in the parking lot, so I'm not sure why that happened. So I will reach out to, Highway tomorrow and try to get an answer for that. Because I very much would like that. That is an attractive nuisance. I would like that to be removed as quick as possible. The issue that we have is that because there's an insurance claim, it can only be removed by specific individuals that have been told to go out by the insurance company to remove it. So, we barricaded it and put caution tape up to make sure that people avoided it, stayed out of the area. So, like I said, I will double check with Highway tomorrow and find out, what's going on with trying to get the thing removed. And then the claim is in with the insurance company, so, they have the information, from the original blueprints on the information for this pole, so they'll try to find something as close to that as possible to replace it. But we should have more information about that in a month. It's such a slow process. It's crazy. So yeah, that's where we're at with the light pole.
Is the other light now functional or?
Yeah, the other light's fine. Yeah, no problems. Hiya. We moved past it, so you're off the hook, my friend.
All right, I apologize. I've been,
It's okay.
I'm standing out King Street because of motor
I
vehicle
was good.
crashes, so.
Yep,
No.
absolutely.
You all set?
Like, wait, do you need a?
Yeah, I had a fender bender just coming into
Oh,
the.
that one was yours?
What?
Why they called in?
Actually, we didn't call,
Somebody else pulled in, Gary had one too.
oh, boy.
All right.
It's crazy out there, so I figured you were well and busy.
I
Thank
apologize.
you. I
No worries.
appreciate
Thank you
it.
very much.
Yeah,
If you need anything, let me know.
thanks, Jeff.
Hey, one quick question
Yeah.
on the other light pole. I mean,
Yeah.
If this was, like you said, maybe it's like faulty concrete or something.
Yeah,
Is
we
it
can
something
check
we
and
worry
look.
about the other one?
Yes, we will look into it, but I don't think that's the case, but, because it's relatively new, you know, all of this stuff was put in 2015, I think. 14. Yeah. So just under 10 years, it's not super old. But yeah, we can definitely look into it and see.
With a shake.
You get a damaged car already, right?
Test it.
All right, thanks.
All right, I did put the picture up of the water drain, but, so essentially, in the past, the highway department has put a plate over the drainage at Bay Park, to allow a pond to naturally happen there so that it can freeze and people can ice skate. Tim wanted to have fire and ice at Fay Park this year, so that was something that he had communicated with the fire department. However, today, the highway department removed the plate to drain it all because they were concerned about the flooding today then spilling into the road. So the water will be drained. However, we will try to get that plate back in as soon as possible to see if maybe we can catch some rain over this coming weekend. and see what we can do. So fire and ice is one of those very temperamental, events that it's just, weather's gotta be right, and sometimes we just have fire. Sometimes the ice is just a ice sculptor, but it is what it
But
is.
it is, so it is the intent to flood it for skating for at least part of the year.
For the event, we wanted to do that, yeah. The concern that I have, and I think Highway has as well, is that, because we have had so much water over the last year, last summer, most of Bay Park was saturated, and we had a really hard time, because typically we do our third Thursday events out there. And probably, I think it was May, June, and July, we ended up having to have it elsewhere because, or like move it further out into the park, because we couldn't, have any vehicles driving across it, it would damage the surface. So, that's one of the things I've kind of had a conversation with Stephen Witten a little bit is, looking at what can we do to be able to fix that drainage issue? Because the water just stays there. And ultimately, it's nice to be able to do the ice skating. It would be really lovely to be able to have that as an option. However, if it's gonna continue to cause more damage, for the grass throughout the whole year, we have to think, is that really something we're gonna be able to do?
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if there's a way to fix.
Like a French drain or
Well,
something.
right, let's say
There are ways
soil-
to-
Yeah,
to fix the soil drainage,
Right.
but still have the option of flooding.
right.
Yeah.
So.
Because we don't want it to, we don't want it to be a bog in summer.
Right. So that's one of the things that is on the to-do list for capital moving into the future is looking at Fay Park and being able to reconfigure. We've had a lot of requests for a pavilion or some sort of like music venue, which that would be a really great place to be able to do that. So, if we're gonna be looking at doing some sort of infrastructure like that, or, putting in playgrounds, adding some parking in, that's something that should be considered as part of that design, is how do we fix that drainage, or how do we come up with a way that we can effectively use that to provide something really lovely in the winter, but it's not gonna destroy everything the rest of the year round, so.
Yeah, at some point, it's like regrade the whole thing
Yeah,
and then put in a temporary rink with a tarp and.
Right.
And have a real.
Yeah.
Have a real rink that you actually maintain.
Yeah.
Uh,
If anyone out there would like to donate one of those frog ponds where we can fill it and freeze it and then have it as like a play structure in the rest of the year, that would be lovely. Thank you.
That's an interesting, I don't think that we could go for that.
Yeah.
I do like having fire. I think I've only 12 years or whatever been here. That fire and ice happened at Fay Park once, I think.
Yeah.
And it was awesome though. Yeah, bonfire, kids were skating, and it was like much smaller, like,
Right.
hot chocolate and a bonfire and, skate in the park, but it was really like, it's the perfect venue or something like that.
We did it a few times at Town Hall parking lot, which,
Yeah.
I mean, it was still pretty good, but it's a parking lot.
There was a rink, someone actually built the rink here.
We did.
So at the point, was that through?
Oh,
No,
that,
no.
oh.
Because like I was playing hockey on Sunday mornings.
Yeah.
At like 8 AM was amazing, and kids were public skating, and it was many, I forget how long ago it was.
So, yeah.
And
that
then it
the
was never to
point.
be seen from again, so I didn't, long before I started this, so I don't know where that originated from or came from.
I think
Yeah.
COVID kind of put the,
Yeah. I didn't know if they handled that, was that something through the town?
No,
yeah,
it's the-
It was supposed to. He said, "Oh, we'll do it every year."
I think it was not.
So the
financially,
owner-
The developer did it the first year.
Gotcha, I wasn't sure if that was the case.
There were no tenants in that.
Gotcha,
upper
gotcha,
building.
gotcha.
Yeah. Fidelity is
And I
there now.
I want to say one of the, like a real estate company.
Fidelity.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah, I was curious.
Oh, sponsored.
No,
it?
it's sponsored,
Okay,
because they had
yeah.
the building open, you could go in. and
Yeah, you
rent
could.
skates or.
Yeah.
Now you've got like urgent care.
Yeah.
I know, right? Perfect.
Yeah, I was just thinking, I just didn't know where that originated from, because it seemed like
I
it
loved it.
was,
It was-
yeah, it was
Yeah.
pretty cool, yeah.
Total PR. They got
Yeah.
That's every year, lots of fun.
But I mean, that is, I mean, something that we could think about, you know, again, I don't know where else you could do it, but, you know, if there is a place you could put up a rink.
Yeah.
That might be interesting.
The maintenance of an outdoor rink is really challenging. And we've had the conversation with fire department, and I know they're really excited about like wanting to help, even when we tried to do it on the tennis courts. That was a fun debacle, but we tried. It kind of shows you how uneven the tennis courts were, because it was a foot deep on one side and an inch on the other. So, but we really truly tried. It just didn't work, but, yeah, it's a lot of work to maintain that nice ice surface on something that's not covered. It's a bit of a challenge, but yeah. We'll look into it. We'll keep doing what we can do.
Stuff with 50-degree temperatures all for winter.
Yeah.
Yep. We also, yes, have not had any weather for it, in the last few years, so. Yeah. All right, so old business, Saul had already mentioned that we, are having a meeting for the open space and recreation plan on June, I'm gonna say June. January, better not be having a meeting in June, January 25th. To kind of go over the last draft of the document, so we are definitely, crossing the Ts, dotting the Is, so we can, turn that into the state, so hopefully we'll be able to get that done relatively quickly. Just a reminder, so ETC Institute's going to be presenting the findings from the statistically valid recreation needs study on Tuesday, January 23rd. I believe it is, I want to say 6:30 at the Sturts Room. I just wanted to get an idea of how many people were gonna attend from Park Commission, because obviously if we have more than 3 park commissioners, then I have to put in a agenda for that meeting. I will also be presenting the budget for our department after.
I thought that was a joint meeting.
It
Don't
is.
We need it for, don't we?
It's a joint meeting for FinCom and for select board.
So it's not a joint FinCom, it's like more.
But if you will have a quorum of people, then it will be.
But we
it
don't
would be
need
good.
it for.
Not necessarily. I don't think there's anything that you'd be voting on, but you know, for you guys to actually see that report would be a good thing, but
But if we're gonna have a forum, we have to post it,
correct.
so.
So I just wanted to know at the time who would be able to go on that date.
I will go.
And so 3 is a quorum,
Three is a
Correct,
right?
yeah.
So I'm gonna try, I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to get there, but. And if anybody else,
What time is that at? Do we know?
23rd, so I may be out of mission, so I don't make
Okay.
it
I,
Literally would be out of the commission.
out of the commission.
I believe what I have to do is I'm gone the 24th, 25th, but
Okay.
I believe I'm around on Tuesday. So I'll
Okay.
confirm with you
So
tomorrow.
I'll do it just as a safety.
Yeah.
So that anybody can show up. And if we have a quorum, it's not the end of the world because you're not gonna be voting on anything.
and we don't have to, so if we post it, do we have to open a meeting? Right, is that what you said?
No, because what we would say is like, let's say there's only 2 of you at that meeting, you wouldn't open a meeting because there's no quorum.
No, but what I'm saying is if there's a quorum, do we then have to open a meeting? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But they go around, we've done a joint meeting
Yeah.
before and it's like FinCom opens,
Yeah.
board opens.
And
Yeah.
And then we can just close, we don't have to
right.
record it, right? Do we need to?
We don't have to.
No, it will be recorded.
Well,
because-
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
so, no, it's just more of just to make sure we're staying within open meeting.
Do we know what time on that day?
So I think, I thought, I was told
Meeting is
6:30,
It's on
but-
the
Okay.
different-
but that's the question, right? Because there's many items on the agenda, so I don't know where we would fit, on the agenda.
Just say
Second. And I did send you an email.
I saw that, but
Okay.
with the time frame.
Uh,
Okay, I'll do it.
okay.
And you said that's at the Sturts room in the library?
Yep, that's right.
Okay.
And I can send out, a calendar invite, and then that way you guys will
Yeah.
just have it in there and know. And then I'd already mentioned I'll do the PRCE budget after, the budget that we do is for the general funds, so it's a pretty quick presentation. However, it sounded like at the, select board meeting and FinCom meeting last night that, they didn't quite understand, I guess, why we weren't doing, a presentation on the revolving, but that's the whole, we had the enterprise. We didn't really want to get off the enterprise, but we were asked to get off the enterprise, so now we're on the revolving, and then the revolving just has the cap. So, I mean, we've kind of been through all of it, talked about the goals as far as, you know, we want to be able to save up some money, in the revolving, just in case something like the pandemic would happen again. You know, that was a situation where we had to ask the town to cover the funds because we had to refund like half a year's worth of programs that we weren't going to be able to run. And that was devastating. And, you know, to potentially have to lay off staff or furlough staff, that's something I would very much want to prevent in the future. So that was one of my first goals. And then the second was to be able to create a reserve so that we would be able to fund some of these projects that we talk about. However, this is only our first year, so we don't, you know, I think there are people that think that we have like a very large pool of money, but in reality, we don't. I know when we talk about 100, or what do we say, a $1.3 million cap, it sounds like a lot, but there's a lot of expenditures that go out to, you know, so I think at the end of last year, when I did my calculations, we ended up with like 250,000 at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so it's not. We're starting to get towards that goal where we want it to be, but we're not ready to just, you know, take on all the capital projects and pay for everything. Solely from our revolving, so, I feel like we've been pretty clear about that, but I don't know, so.
Yeah, I mean, I think that as much as anything else, it's not necessarily that they think there's a pile of money, but just it is a little bit opaque in terms of, if you look, it's not easy to say, look at beach revenue versus beach expense. I think
Right.
you have that, you've presented it to us. You used to present us pretty regularly.
Yeah,
You know, we're familiar with that, or CAMT revenue versus CAMT
Right.
expenses, those sorts of things, but the town accounting system does not provide that information, so if
so
somebody.
that's not true, in
Yeah.
Munis it does, and it is public accessible,
It's not really.
Interesting,
I-
yeah, I'd love
we
to
can
talk about that
that.
more, yeah, no,
But so that, I think
interesting.
that's some of
Okay.
the, you know, there is that sort of, you know, level of, sort of digging into to understand, you know, are we, there, you know, the finance committee is interested, are we being responsible with the money?
Yeah.
I think that generally it is, but they're finding it to be a little opaque, so
Okay.
we may need to present them with more information or reports on a regular basis.
Happy to,
Yeah.
yeah, Cool. The last piece on here is, so there is, I don't think this is something that you guys can nominate and vote for. I think you would have to go through the actual application process. But there is a vacancy on, PMBC, which is the Permanent Municipal Building Committee or Commission, committee, whatever, PMBC. So we are gonna end up having a few projects on that PMBC will be in charge of. So the high school tennis courts and the 36 King Street renovation. So those are two, apparently you're talking about the renovation tomorrow night, so I'm gonna go to that meeting. But it is something that we should talk about if there's a park commissioner that would be interested in joining that board. Because, you know, especially over the next year, it's gonna be a project, two projects that we're gonna be, you know, working on.
Yeah, there's also discussion at the select board meeting when they assigned those projects to PMBC that normally in the case of large projects in PMBC, the owners get a seat on the
Oh, interesting.
sort of ad hoc seat on the board.
Yeah, so I did send an email to Steve just
Yeah.
to find out what, you know, what he's thinking.
So I guess I would say if anybody really wants to be on PMBC, go for it, but
We may
it
have
sounds like
that.
we should have a seat.
Yeah,
Yeah, like, so there's there's somebody from the Council on Aging, rather, sits on the,
Senior center
for the
yeah,
senior center.
Yeah.
There's somebody from schools permanently, but,
okay,
because there's always a school project
Yeah.
here. But in general, it seems like that was the discussion.
okay,
It wasn't clear whether that actually happened, but I suspected like for King's, well, actually both projects.
Right.
But from school and somebody
yeah,
from Park and Rec.
for sure, Yeah.
And then it's not a permanent assignment, it's just for the project.
I think with the library, when I was on the library trustees, there was a person that was assigned to.
okay,
Yeah,
interesting. All right, so like I said, I contacted him today just to find out, and if I don't hear back, then I'll ask tomorrow night, but.
I guess maybe, is there anybody who? What?
Who's got building background? I'm like, looking at you.
I'm sadly deficient in that.
I mean, I will. So maybe if I can, I will come tomorrow night. I think it's online, it is online.
It is all online,
Yeah.
yeah,
So I should be able to join. If there's a place.
unless you've got your
It sounds like nobody else really wants to.
fingers plugging holes in basement.
all you stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Good.
All right, and then I'll see you on time tomorrow night. Okay. That's it. So-
To adjourn?
He's like, the cars are already covered. So at some point,
There's a picture we all get to look at.
so I just put up, we have our February school vacation that is up. So, if anybody is, thinking about what to do with children during the, February vacation, if you're not going anywhere, we have two different programs. One's for kindergarten through fourth and the other is, fourth through eighth. So if you have that fourth grader that's maybe a little bit more mature, they can go with older kids, or maybe they're, you know, still sweetly, adorably cute and childlike, then they can go with the young kids. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, cuteness. Long gone.
Oh. So yeah, so I just wanted to throw that up there.
All right, now the motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All seconds. All right, Saul.
Yes.
Peter.
Yes.
Scott. Kate.
Yes.
Kevin is a yes.
Okay,
All right, we are adjourned.
thank you, friends.
Is this under an hour again? Paul?
Over to-
Drive carefully, all of you.
Yeah, I think.
Sorry, Kate.